everybody, we're here in the boat. Right now, in the map, right now we're in we started here in Royalhampton and now we're like somewhere here next to it because we passed it. Which just like 5 minutes ago, and we'll arrive like
Hampton Court.
we need to have 1 hour and 15 minutes. So right now maybe 45 minutes around because it took a long time from and this is what the boat actually looks like from far distance. And it's very hot here and like it's very hot.
And it shows all the bridges.
Yeah.
And the oldest one
is
let
me see.
it's Richmond Boat Bridge from 1777. That was like many years ago.
Yeah, and it's like look
There's pictures of all of them. We're going to Hampton Court here, and these are the other ones.
a new palace of Westminster.
Northern Eye, Battersea Power Station, Albert Bridge.
Wait, Harris Fortune, Potion.
The Star, the Royal Star and Gardener, Marble Hill House, Teddington Lock.
Yeah.
Like, this is the map.
Yeah, and London has like some funny names about.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
look, they're like,
Yeah. Yeah. Look at that water. It's a bit dirty and the breeze is very warm and like.
there's houses. There's houses. People actually live there, so they are so lucky. They live next to this place. Definitely. We've been here in Hampton Court as our school trip.
Yeah, me and my sister that went there before. Yeah, that was it was fun.
Yeah, and I know how we're going to manage to go to Hampton Court because when we went to technically when I had a school trip to go to Hampton Court, I saw this river going through Hampton Court.
Yeah, and
It was a bridge.
yeah. We're now in our second bridge. I see right now because if we go up here, it's turn here. Because right now we're here. Now we're turning to yeah. Right now you're gonna see in 5 minutes.
First, when he came in the boat, he was kind of scared.
It's just like
If he fell.
yeah, I was like scared of that. Yeah, I was scared of like.
Okay, so we're coming up to Teddington now. I don't know if you know, it's a bit laboured going upstream because we've got a fair bit of flood water coming down from the upper reach of the Thames. Flood water, where's that come from? When it hisses down in paint, basically, which it does all the time, and it has done for the last year that I can remember. So if it rains around the Thames Valley, all the water ends up in the river. Drains down through 44 locks, including this one ahead of us. That's the last lock on the Thames, apart from Richmond Boat. But once it gets down here, it ends up another 30, 40 miles down to the sea, and the whole cycle starts all over again. So there's a weir stream a little bit further upstream, up through that suspension bridge. That's the entrance to the barge lock that guy's trying to manoeuvre into. You can only see half of the lock, 650 feet long is the full length. Could take 6 barges at a time when the river was busy commercially in the cargo sense. Typical cargoes back in the day would have been timber to Walton and Kingston, grain as far west as Guildford on the Wayne navigation. Spring tides, they can flood these gardens if you want to put a handle on how high the tides go. 5.5 metres rise and fall here on the spring tide. It will flow over the weir us on the right hand side there, you can see some yellow brick, yellow and red brick buildings, which in my opinion would be replaced Benidorm. That's the former site of Tufts Boat Yard. It's here in May of 1940. It's been sold on the private development now, but it's here in May of 1940. But hundreds of vessels were collected together by a gentleman called Bob Tuff, who was the then owner of Tufts Boat Yard, to take part in what became known as Operation Dynamo. There are a couple of Dunkirkers there on the right, the Fidalman with a blue top. Underneath that RNLI flag, you can see at the top of the brown, there's a boat called Tamisa. You might just be able to make out the blue top of it. Tamisa's actually, believe it or not, owned by the former owners. These are the great-grandsons of Bob Tuff. But this is where it all started, Thames-centric. It didn't all happen in the Thames, folks. Vessels from all around England took part in Operation Dynamo. Hundreds of vessels that went onto the beaches and rescued what was to become, in a 10-day period, 338,000 troops, French, Belgian and British. 338,000. To put that into perspective, on the first day, only 6,000 people were rescued. 6,000. So, Winston Churchill called it a miracle of deliverance. I would say it's definitely a miracle of deliverance. He always had a way of, a rather succinct way of summing things up, didn't he? So again, how high does the tide go? Look over your left, you can see some lovely manicured lawns, slightly ahead of us there, you can see the Canada geese. On a big spring, the water will go right up onto those lawns, past the first and second of those signatories. So that's how high the tide goes. As I said, 5.5 metres. That's a particularly big tide. We had a 5.4 metre tide, I think on Monday or Tuesday of last week. Those are the highest astronomical tides, but that was coupled with a bit of floodwater. The floodwater actually retarded us when we were coming upstream, and it had the opposite effect. Now we turn around, we will pick up a fair bit of speed because we've already got the impetus of the water, the outgoing floodwater. So, have you all picked out your favourite house yet? You must have looked at them on the way upstream. Typically, these houses will cost anything up to £4 million. I saw one of these villas here, which is just coming up on my left-hand side. One of my favourite houses. It's a double-fronted villa, and it was for sale several years ago. Now, I think it was pretty much pre-COVID, $4.5 million. Although a little bit further downstream, this house that was recently marketed at just shy of £2 million. See these double-fronted villas here on the left-hand side, beautiful Victorian properties. Some of the only ones that are right now. Most houses have been finished over rebuilt. You can see a couple of very attractive new builds just past this. The slipway at Swan Island, because that is actually an island ahead of us. You can see underneath that sort of yellow overhead crane, gentle lady, she's also a Dunkirker, and she's prepping for later this year in May, towards the end of May, Bank Holiday weekend, she will be making her way over to Dunkirk to take part in the 85th anniversary of Operation Dynamo, along with one of our vessels, Princess Freedom. Myself and my brother behind me have taken Princess Freedom to Dunkirk on 3 occasions, 2005. So, French love us, well, certainly the northern French love us. It's one of these properties here, as I said, just shy of £2 million. And that was 2022. So as we pass Swan Island, on the left-hand side you see a lovely park there. That's Redmond Gardens, lovely green space. The hospital across Stevenage known as this area. There's a memorial Folly there as well. If you look over at the distance, Folly is part of one of the original houses which stood on that site. And collectively, there are a lot of beautiful properties here, mostly sort of villas. Alexander Pope had a property where Radnor House School is ahead of us. And the money that derived from slavery investments in the South Sea Company. And you've heard of the South Sea Company? As I said, a lot of that money derived from slavery. So ill-gotten gains, you might call them. But Pope lived in Pope's Villa. He brought up school properties, having moved to the area in 1710, Chiswick, and built his property somewhere in the vicinity of Radnor House School. How do I know that? Because Radnor House School are custodians of all the remains of his property, which there's a tenant. It's my point of view. His house was pushed over in the 80s, middle of the 19th century. Now, I've just noticed that the last property here on the left-hand side, before we get to those, the last property here, that sort of Georgian property, with a very substantial lawn, is actually up for sale. And I'm going to be having a sneak preview very shortly when I get a chance to look at my phone. Directly ahead of the bow, you can see the parish church of Twickenham, 15th century tower, and you can see the church attached to it, designed by the architect John James. John James not particularly prolific during his lifetime. He becomes various important things. The Green Bridge gives you access to what is, I would say, the most famous island on the Thames, the only residential island that's highway apart from Canley, Thames Estuary. There's also an artificially created habitat here. I don't know if you noticed on the way upstream. Those who have keen-eyed, I'm sure you did. It's here immediately to your left. There you can see it. On the left, camera on the left as well. You see the camera? Nesting kingfishers, certainly up until 2023. You can see evidence of that. What else? William Hartnell lived on the island. Some of you probably know William Hartnell. He was the first Doctor Who. Radio, which maybe escapes me. We're coming up to Trevor Bayliss, just remember his name. Trevor Bayliss didn't actually invent the clockwork radio. What he did is he modified it an idea during the Second World War, wind up radio to pass messages. This is the Aquarius estate there on the left-hand side. It's a row of properties, award-winning apparently, and they sit on the former side of the venue, pre-Victorian period, right through to 1976. Many stations, tea dances, jazz venue, rock venue, bands such as Rolling Stones, etc. Some of the world's greatest guitarists, like Jimmy Page, Peter Green, Jeff Beck, some of the world's greats. Many of them not, sadly, not no longer with us. Right, now you have to be quick, guys, because there's a lot in this next couple of hundred metres. On my left, through those trees are the balustrades of York House. It's a 17th century property. There's some beautiful ornate gardens right down the river, white balustrades mark the boundary line. Over your left-hand shoulder will be the parish church of Twickenham again, which I said is the burial place of Alexander Pope. You look ahead of us, keep looking ahead of, diagonally to my left, you will see the Octagon Room, or the Audience Gallery, designed by the architect James Gibbs. There it is, with the Grecian walls on the roof. Just come into view, look at this. James Gibbs built that building in the 1730s as part of the wider footprint of one of the first Palladian villas to be built in Twickenham, designed by the architect John James, who I mentioned just a moment ago in connection with the parish church of Twickenham. Not particularly prolific was John James, but he did become, as I said, the Sir Harrison Horsley favourite when Horsley was the record. The Palladian Villa was demolished at the beginning of the 20th century, but the audience gallery or the optical room was saved on the 20th. It's now venue in St. Right. There we got that coming into view, that lovely view of Richmond. If I told you to turn round, folks, but we could be, oh yeah. Well, we have a really good bird's eye view of Richmond Hill now. Before we get there, we've got Ham House on the right, a Jacobean style manor house built there in 1610. Magnificent property now owned by the National Trust. Really good guided tours given out there, even if you're not a member of the Trust. The first resident there, the Dysart family built it and they leased it out to a gentleman called William Murray, who was the whipping boy of Charles I. That's Hamilton's Ferry, for those who would like to sort of visit Twickenham and Hamhouse at the same time. The ferry here is in operation 7 days a week. The ferryman is directly ahead of us. There he is, Andy. So, believe it or not, this view that you're sitting on, this view from Richmond Hill, this physical landscape we're actually sitting on at the moment, is the only view in England which is protected by an Act of Parliament. So you're actually sitting on a physical piece of history. Looking ahead of us, the enormous building is the former Star Cars Home Force Service building in the 1920s. Those enormous buildings, there were inmates there from the second, the Korean and the Fourth War. Something of the private development recently. One bit of good news, there is some cheap and affordable there with starting prices in a very reasonable £500,000. Off to the left-hand side, you can see wonderful footprints of what has been described. On the left, folks, don't miss it. Left, Marble Hill House. Built there in 1724 and being described as the finest Palladian villa in England, designed by the architect Roger Morris. He went on to build White Lodge. Have you heard of White Lodge? Anybody? It's more commonly known as the Royal Ballet School. It sits about a mile and a half off to my right, in the heart of Richmond Park. Best park in London, by a country mile. 3,000 acres nearly, parkland. Would have included Wimbledon Common. It was actually at one time Roehampton, the area of Roehampton, but walled off by Charles I in the 1630s. It's now open to lots of mere mortals. Looking ahead of us, you can see directly ahead of the bow, that's Petersham Hotel. Immediately to the left of the turret, you see there's a lovely sort of bow-fronted property. That's the wick designed by the architect Robert Mill. To the right of it, not so attractive, is the property built for the first president of the Royal Academy of Arts, Joshua Reynolds. That's Wick House. The one on the left, the bow-fronted property, former owners include John Mills, Ronnie Wood, Ronnie Wood, Jerry Atherton, another Jerry Atherton, delinquent Mick Jagger. Although, it's a kind of phrase, I wouldn't be able to dance like Jagger. What an awful song that is, but dance like Jagger. When I'm 84, move like Jagger. I've just been told off by my brother, what a rubbish song it is. I mean, they know that band, but 2 or 3 songs, 10 songs better than that, it's number 1. There's no accounts of the Beatles songs. That's Petersham Meadows now on the right-hand side. In the summer, since it was sort of early April, you can see quite regularly some belted Galloway cattle, which are the southern wildlife actually grazing there. We're 10 miles out the side of the city as the road runs. That's Richmond Park to my right. If you look there, you can see the tree line moves progressively, and you can catch in and out of the view bits of the park, quite lovely bit around Pembroke Lodge, yes. Then there's a lovely boozer up there called the Roebuck. I don't know if you can see it. It's just to the right of the walkway. If you fancy a beer later on with an amazing sunset, it's going to be a good sunset tonight, around about 5ish. fibre, otherwise you're going to have to suffer the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune, i.e. in the shape of drunken rugby fans. Nothing worse. So, on the subject of paintings, we were talking about painting. That view we just sailed on has been painted by Reynolds. What a wonderful view we have in this picture. Turner, who lived in Twickenham, is saying the road about 5 miles to my left. Whistler's painted that view. Gainsborough. And a gentleman who took a slightly different sort of tack, if you like, from the norm was a gentleman called Johann Softly. Heard of him? Johann Softly? He was co-founder of Royal Family. He was a favourite of the Hanover family, George III. And he had many commissions. One was the family that lived on Richmond Hill. And his view was not taken of upriver towards downriver towards the new bridge. Now, when I say the new bridge, this painting was painted in 1780. And it took in the fields of St Martin's. There are loads of houses there now, but in those days they were fields. And he took in the newly built Richmond Bridge. 1777 it was opened, designed by the architect James Payne. Beautiful bridge. He built 3 bridges incidentally on the river: Chertsey, St Hugh Bridge, and Richmond. Barely through the succession of the 10-year period. Lovely Portland stone. But if you live in Richmond, I don't know, some of you may live in Richmond, might be really well ill if you are living in Richmond, wherewithal. But I don't know if you've noticed, if you go right up close to the bridge, because you have to, because there's lots of foliage hiding lovely red approaches. So next time you go up to Richmond Bridge, you might have an opportunity to do it now, or you might go somewhere else that day. Have a look at lovely red approaches, because it's a lovely contrast between the Okay, we'll leave you with that, folks. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon. And pull alongside now, and that's it, really. That's the Curtis, the little vessel there called Curtis Freedom.
Okay, somewhere here. We're parking.
Nearly.
Yeah.
Bye.
Enjoy the video, like and subscribe.
And I hope you like this video. Bye.